Hello, Katie Hunt here with your weekly intuitive reading for the week of July 8th, 2019. How are you doing? We had a pretty intense event last week. We had a new moon, which is about new beginnings. But partnered with that, we also had a solar eclipse. And when we experience a solar eclipse, there's like this holy trinity that happens. The earth, the sun, and the moon are all in alignment. And when we have this sort of grandiose alignment happening, that affects our inner world, our energetic bodies, to come into alignment. Sometimes coming into alignment doesn't feel good. And typically it doesn't feel good when we have an eclipse because it's this huge shift that happens. Of course, this is all in service to us, we know this, but if you had a lot of intense energy that you were carrying around last week, if at the beginning of the week in particular, or beginning to like the middle of the week, you felt that you were carrying a lot of intensity with you, that could have definitely been because of the eclipse. The energy for me personally for the eclipse was really crazy. It was very overwhelming. I had a lot going on in my head, a lot going on in my body. I got sick, which I typically don't get sick. But it was just a very intense time. So what we need to do when we are experiencing an event such as that, an eclipse, lunar eclipse, we're approaching something called the Lion's Gate, an intense energy kind of portal that we'll be going through. When you watch these videos and we discuss that there's a whole heck of a lot of energy coming in that will be influencing us, you have to surrender to it. When I say surrender, people usually get scared or they get their backs up a little bit because we don't want to surrender. We want to be in control because we're safe when we're in control. But what you can do is when you surrender is you let go of trying to control or fix something that's outside of your control. The hardest thing for us is to let go of control, but we need to focus on the things that we can control. And how you can control those events is to surrender to them. So if you're feeling like garbage, just simply saying, I surrender to this, and just stopping what you're doing and just nurturing yourself so that you can let the energy just run through you. Because the more that you resist, the more that the discomfort will persist. So if you are still carrying around a lot of really intense energy from the beginning of this week or last week, it is time for you to surrender so that it can move through you, so it can let go. So it can clear out all of this stuff that's blocking you and that's actually preventing you from surrendering so that you can step into a higher state of consciousness, this higher being that you were meant to become. We are, where we have places that we got to go. We've got to elevate ourselves. We've got to actually step up and change things now. So the alarm clock has gone off. Things are happening. Things are moving. So you will be affected by this regardless of if you really want to be or not. But you can have a much more fun, enjoyable experience if you let go and you just enjoy the ride along with it. If you have any further questions about how this eclipse could be affecting you, I am here for you. Please feel free to reach out to me. Please let me know how this eclipse affected you in the comments below. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe so that we can, grow this thing together. We can spread the word. And we can, start helping people wake up left, right, and center so that we can go forward into this higher level of consciousness and we can change the world. So this week, I feel like we had this turning point last week. So things leading up to it became very, very intense for me personally. I had a lot of, I was kind of like staring my ego in the face and realizing how much I love to control the way that I feel and my emotions, and the way that I live my life is very fluid. I do like to go with the flow, but there are certain things that I am heavily managing, such as my emotions and my spiritual state of being and all of those things. So when those belief systems that I have put in place are so intensely challenged, it's really hard to to continue along trying to manage in the same way. So once I surrendered to it and I just said, screw it, let's just see what happens, and I'm just going to go with how I'm feeling, even though it doesn't make logical sense, things significantly changed, and it was like doing a 180. Things completely shifted for me, and it was really, really good, because leading up to that, it felt very, very bad. So if you're feeling very, very bad, like I've said, surrender and things will change significantly. As we go into this week, this is very, very much still apparent. We'd had this enormous opportunity for shift at the beginning of last week. This week, it's time for action. It's time to commit to the things that you want and not commit to the things that you don't. In other words, where your energy goes, where your focus goes, energy flows. So don't think about all of the things that are wrong, all of the things that you're lacking in your life. Put your focus on the things that you want, and only those things. When you catch yourself thinking about the stuff that's missing and you're putting energy into that, that is a lot of energy that you are putting into something and just reaffirming that you don't have it. Shift the mindset. The eclipse will help with that. Shift the mindset to what it is that you do want. This week it's about action, forward movement. Do you have someone in your life who is a forward mover, a forward thinker, somebody who likes to create and go forward with projects fearlessly? Might be a good opportunity for you to connect with them this week. Maybe that's you inside yourself, finding that knight within yourself that's going forward movement. With this though, it's like in the daytime or whatever, you work, you hustle, you go for what you want. But in the evenings, or however this is an example, this can be different for you depending on what it is that you feel, but this is kind of the message. So like you hustle, you work your ass off during the day, and then at nighttime, you enjoy your spoils. You go into your garden, you pull up a beautiful comfy lounge chair, you have your glass of wine and you read your favorite book. You just indulge in yourself and in your life and in this beautiful life that you've created for yourself, and that you just really enjoy the spoils of your labor. So it is a beautiful partnership this week. It's not going forward with such momentum that you're completely exhausted and drained that you just pass out. It's about, this is an amazing, incredible momentum that I'm building up, but in order for me to nurture myself and nurture that momentum, I'm going to take a break and I'm going to allow things to settle, and I'm going to enjoy this moment fully. More motivation will come that way, more inspiration, more gifts will come in those moments where you are relaxed and that when you're enjoying it. So enjoy your life this week. Get outside. Do the things that make you feel very abundant and prosperous, and really shift your focus away from, I should be working harder. I have a couple more hours in the day. I should probably work on those emails, or I need to hustle 24/7 to make this happen. Trust me, this week that will backfire. That will not be at all what you need. You need to enjoy your life, especially this week, because that will bring in more gifts to you. And I know that might be a very difficult concept for some of you to grasp. It's very hard for me to grasp. Sometimes I have a very hard time relaxing, but you need to do it, especially this week, because more will come to you if you do that. It's a beautiful balance, a beautiful partnership. So we also need to come back to this balance throughout the week. And we need to always come back to this beautiful energy of you indulging in your life and all of the beautiful things. Excuse me. That'll probably keep happening, so I apologize in advance. But I got to bring the people what they need, so here we are doing this video when I'm kind of sick. So we'll carry on, but just ignore all of this that's happening. We are having a little bit of technical difficulties this week, so bear with me. We'll get through this. It'll just be very choppy, I think. So, as you go through this week, really come back to all of the gifts that you have in your life and remember those gifts, because You will begin to very much notice where you like to pull yourself down and where it is that you're overmanaging your own self. If you're living in this beautiful state of bliss, or you're trying to come back to this beautiful state of bliss, you will be able to feel the contrast quite significantly, and you will be able to notice that there's a disconnect there. There's a problem there. Not a problem, but there's an issue. There's a separation from you and your soul. When you try to anytime you're being, overly critical or over managing yourself, you're in separation. And so when we're in those states of bliss, you feel so good because you're really in alignment and you're really connected. So really come back to that this week, because the beginning of this week, you will begin to realize where it is that you are being controlled. Is there somebody in your life who's controlling you or manipulating you? Is it you? Are you really trying to control yourself and how you feel? Or are you just being really overly critical on yourself and not allowing yourself to have what it is that you want? This week is all about what it is that you want, even if it doesn't make logical sense. Let go of the logic, as long as you're safe, but go forward for what it is that you want. What do you want? And why don't you have it? And why aren't you letting yourself go after it? Really sit down and ask yourself these questions, because the answers and the reasons why are probably pretty dumb. They're probably about fear, or they're about your family not getting it, or your friends not getting it, or what will people think of me, or what if I fail? Well, what if you get to the end of your life and you never even tried? That reality, that fear of regret should be enough for you to just do it. Just give it a try. As long as you're not hurting anybody, just go forward without all of these beliefs and all of these the ways that you manage yourself and all of these thoughts and fears and all of that. Where are you managing yourself, and where it is that you need to let go? That will be very much highlighted for you this week. Also, be cognizant of your energetic footprint. How do you walk through this world, and how do your emotions and your energy affect other people? Do you walk into a room when you're pissed off and splatter your shit all over the place for other people to clean up? Do you vent at people and dump your stuff all over them and just walk away? It's time to be more energetically responsible, because you know better now. We've gone through this period of rapid growth. We're all changing and evolving. It's time to take accountability for your own emotions without trying to overmanage, but acknowledging where you're at and acknowledging when you have temptations to go and spew it onto somebody else so that you don't have to deal with it. Take it in and figure out why it's there and deal with it in a nice, healthy way. When you're ready, let it go and imagine it going into the earth. Don't allow it to come up and onto other people. If you do need to talk to a friend, set an intention beforehand that you will not spew your stuff all over them, that you will intend that everything that you release will be brought up to heaven or into the earth or whatever it is. But it's just very important that you start to become accountability for your energy, and that you have your own energetic boundaries as well. Are there people who are coming in and stepping into your energy and spewing onto you? It's time for you to stand up a little bit and create this beautiful, nice foundation of energetic boundaries and emotional boundaries with people. Finally, let yourself out of this prison. This has been this ongoing discussion throughout this, a couple weeks for me personally, but the prison that you live in and this prison that you've created for yourself may not necessarily feel like a prison, but you're the only person who's trapping yourself in there. So get curious this week as to in what ways are you trying to control and manage your life in such a way that's just not serving you, and take your power back and step out of this prison. Who cares if it doesn't make logical sense? Who cares if it doesn't fit with how you think life should be, or all of the lessons that you've learned so far? Maybe it goes completely against all of that, but as long as it feels good, just go forward with it without fear, because that this week is what we're being called to experience. And it's a very different way of being. You grow up in the world and you learn and you start to collect all this information, and you put people or situations in boxes. But what we're asking you to do is just dump the boxes out and just throw it all in a bonfire. Because right now, just do what you want. And if you have trouble doing what you want, that's another thing to get curious about. Why are you letting yourself be happy? Why aren't you letting yourself go for what you want? And why are you afraid of going for what you want? Very interesting week this week. And anytime you start to go too far down into the fear, maybe when you're acting during the day and at nighttime you're having your nice relaxation time, maybe that's a time for you to begin to reflect when you are in a space that makes you happy. And we're starting to chop up again, but we're not going to stop the video again. So just have fun this week. Serve yourself. I'm sending you so much love. Thank you so much for being here. If you have not done so already, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe for your chance to win a free session with me and also to receive weekly updates only shared through this. And I know this is very trippy because it's very choppy on my end, so I'm sorry about the technical difficulties. There's a whole heck of a lot of energy right now. I've restarted my computer 3 times. Sometimes this shit just happens. So thank you for bearing with me. Have an exceptional week. I send you so much love.